Hello, my dear friends. If you enjoy this story, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your support, and now let's begin.
I did not notice the moment I started falling in love with another woman. My wife did. Maybe that was the most uncomfortable part of all. My name is Thomas Reed. I am 46 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and work as the logistics director for a company that supplies medical equipment. My wife's name is Claire. She is 44. She designs private gardens and small urban spaces, so she spends most of her time either working from home or visiting project sites. We have been married for 19 years. We have 2 children. Our son is already in college. Our daughter is finishing high school. If someone had asked me back then whether our marriage was bad, would have said no. We did not argue every day. We did not cheat on each other. We were not discussing divorce. We had a mortgage, family holidays, mutual friends, and a tradition of ordering Thai food every Friday night. We were the kind of couple other people looked at and said, "They're doing fine." And we really were doing fine. Maybe that was exactly why it took me so long to notice how much I missed the feeling that I could still surprise someone. It all started at the company Christmas party. It was an ordinary December evening at a hotel. The company was celebrating the completion of a major contract. I planned to stay for a couple of hours and then go home. Claire did not come. She hated corporate parties. "Go without me," she said. "I'd rather finish my project and watch a movie." Megan Foster was there. She was 38. She managed the purchasing department. We had worked together for almost 2 years, but until that evening, I had thought of her only as a colleague. She was sharp. Quick. She always came to meetings with the numbers already prepared. She never laughed at management's jokes just to be polite. That evening, she wore a red dress. Nothing provocative. It simply looked completely different from the office clothes I was used to seeing her in. We happened to end up beside each other at the bar. "Are you really planning to spend the entire evening talking about transportation costs?" she asked. "I was hoping to make it at least until dessert." She laughed. We talked for almost an hour. Not about work. About music. Travel. Why both of us hated the word networking. Then a slow song started playing. Megan looked toward the dance floor. "Do you dance?" "Not for about 20 years. "That's a very brave confession." "I've been married for 19. I've lost all the dangerous skills." She laughed again. Nothing happened. We did not kiss. We did not confess anything. I drove home around midnight. Claire was already in bed. How was it? Fine. I genuinely believed that. 2 days later, Megan sent me a message through the company chat. "You forgot to tell me what kind of music you actually listen to." I replied. Then we kept messaging for another 20 minutes. The next day, we did it again. A week later, I caught myself checking my phone, waiting for a message from her. It still seemed harmless. Until Claire asked, "Are you wearing a new cologne?" I looked at her. "What? You smell different." I had bought a new one. Megan had once joked that my old cologne reminded her of an airport hotel. She meant it as a joke. 3 days later, I stopped at a store after work. I had not even connected the two things. Claire had. "Just felt like changing it," I said. She nodded. Nothing more. A few days later, our daughter was telling us something about school over dinner. I was smiling at my phone. Claire looked at me. "What's funny?" "Nothing." "Then why are you smiling?" I placed my phone face down. "Work chat." She nodded again. No scene. No accusations. At least, that was what I thought. But now I know. Claire noticed the changes before I was willing to admit they existed. The problem with emotional cheating is that, for a long time, it does not look like cheating. I still came home. Slept beside my wife. Spent weekends with my family. I did not remove my wedding ring. I did not invent business trips. I simply allowed part of my life to gradually become Megan's. We started having lunch together. At first with coworkers. Then alone. She knew I was married. I never hid it. In fact, I talked about Claire often. Sometimes I even convinced myself that talking about my wife made whatever was happening between Megan and me safer. She really designs gardens? Megan asked one day. Yes. That sounds beautiful. Sometimes. If the client doesn't want 18 identical arborvitae trees along the fence. Megan smiled. Do you often make jokes about her work? I went quiet. Not about her. I didn't say about her. That conversation stayed with me for some reason. That evening, I came home and, for the first time in months, actually looked at Claire's drawings. A design for the yard of an old house was spread across the table. She was marking the locations of trees by hand. It's beautiful, I said. Claire looked up. What exactly? I did not know. Well, all of it. She gave me a small smile. Thank you for the detailed analysis. It was supposed to be funny. Instead, I felt ashamed. A few weeks later, I told Megan that I had once wanted to start my own company. I had not told anyone that in 10 years. Not even Claire. Why didn't you? The kids. The mortgage. Risk. Life. So you chose security. I guess. Do you regret it? I thought about it. Sometimes. Megan looked at me as if the answer truly mattered. At home, Claire asked. Are you happy? I froze. What do you mean? In the ordinary sense. Why are you asking? She shrugged. You're always somewhere else lately. It's just work. Of course. She said it calmly. But there was something new in her voice. Distance. I did not pay attention. Then I noticed Claire had stopped waiting for me to eat dinner. If I was late, she ate without me. She stopped reminding me to pick things up from the dry cleaner. She stopped texting me to buy milk. She stopped asking when I would be home. At first, it was almost convenient. Nobody checking on me. Nobody asking questions. I could stay after work and have coffee with Megan. I could answer her messages in the evening. One day, she wrote. Sometimes it feels like we're dating, just without the most interesting part. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I wrote. Maybe that's why it's safe. She replied. Are you sure it's safe? I did not answer. The next day, we barely spoke. By evening, I physically missed her attention. That was when I first understood that this was no longer just friendship. That same evening, Claire came out of the bedroom wearing a new dress. Dark green. She looked incredible. Where are you going? Dinner. With who? Julia and Rachel. I frowned. You didn't tell me. You didn't ask. She picked up her purse. I'll be late. How late? Claire looked at me. Interesting. What? So you do know how to ask questions. Then she left. I stood in the hallway and, for the first time, felt what she had probably been feeling for months. Uncertainty. Claire did not fight for my attention. She simply stopped begging for it. That was much more frightening. She started working outside the house more often. Went back to the gym. Met friends on Saturdays. Signed up for a landscape photography course. She stopped telling me everything. Before, I knew the names of her clients. I knew who annoyed her. Who paid late. Who had changed their mind about the swimming pool again. Now I would ask, "How was your day?" She would answer, "Good." And that was it. It made me angry. Even though I had spent years creating exactly that kind of distance. Meanwhile, Megan and I became closer. One evening after a difficult meeting, we were left alone in the conference room. She sat near the window. "You look terrible," she said. "Thanks." "You're welcome." I sat beside her. "Things are strange at home. Does Claire know? About us?" The word "us" came out far too easily. Megan noticed. "Is there an us?" I looked at her. She was not smiling. "I don't know." Convenient answer. "What do you want me to say?" "The truth." She turned toward the window. "I've fallen in love with you, Thomas." That was it. No music. No alcohol. No beautiful setting. Just an office at 6 in the evening. I felt horror and relief at the same time. "Megan. Don't. I know you're married. I've known from the beginning. I'm not asking you to leave." "Then what are you asking?" "For you to stop pretending nothing is happening." I did not answer. She gathered her things. At the door, she stopped. "Do you love your wife?" "Yes." "And me?" I could not say the word. She understood from my face. 2 days later, Claire said, "We need to talk." My hands literally went cold. We sat in the kitchen. She placed a cup of tea in front of herself. "Is there someone else?" I wanted to say no. Technically, it would almost have been true. I had not slept with Megan. I had not kissed her. But after months of talking, I finally understood how pathetic that excuse would sound. "There's a woman," I said. Claire closed her eyes. "Only for a second." "Did you sleep together?" "No." "Kiss?" "No." She looked at me. "Do you love her?" I remained silent. That was answer enough. "How long?" "I don't know." "Of course." She laughed without humor. "Everything with you is, I don't know now. Claire. Don't explain that it happened by accident. Feelings happen by accident. Secret messages, lunches, and lies do not." I lowered my head. "Did you read my phone?" "No." "Then how?" She almost looked at me with pity. "Thomas, you changed your cologne after wearing the same one for 19 years. You started smiling at your phone. You started taking longer to get ready for work. You stopped hearing half of what the kid said. And then, after years of barely noticing my work, you suddenly became interested in my projects." My face burned. "Why didn't you say anything?" "At first, I waited for you to tell me. Then I stopped waiting." "Do you want a divorce?" She looked at me calmly. "Right now, I don't want anything from you." That sentence frightened me more than anything else. The next day, Megan asked whether everything was all right. I told her Claire knew. She went pale. "What happens now?" "I don't know. Thomas. I really don't know." She turned away in frustration. "You understand we can't just continue like before?" "Yes." "Then choose." I looked at her. "Between you and Claire?" "Between honesty and whatever it is you're doing now." I expected the other woman to tell me to leave my wife. Instead, she said, "I don't want to be the place you come to because home started feeling too ordinary." That hit me hard. That's not what this is. Then what is it? "I love you." It was the first time I said it out loud. Megan did not smile. And your wife? Yes. She nodded. Then you have a problem. Not me. She asked that we stop all personal communication. Work only. I left her office feeling as though I had just lost her. I came home early. Claire was not there. I called. She did not answer. I texted. Where are you? 20 minutes later. At dinner. With who? The answer came almost immediately. Why does that interest you now? I sat on the sofa staring at the screen. She returned around 11. She wore a black coat. Her hair smelled like rain. Where were you? With friends. Which friends? Claire put down her keys. Do you want a list? I'm just asking. And I'm just answering. I felt jealous. Real jealousy. Stupid jealousy. Were there men there? She looked at me and almost smiled. There it is. What? You spent months falling in love with another woman, and now you're worried that a single man might have been sitting beside me. Claire. Relax. I'm not looking for anyone. She walked past me. Then she stopped. But that's no longer because I think our marriage is guaranteed. The following weeks were the worst. Megan kept her distance. So did Claire. I went to work and saw the woman I had fallen in love with, but she spoke to me only about suppliers. I came home to the wife I loved, but she no longer built her life around me. For the first time, I understood something strange. I thought I was choosing between two women. In reality, both of them had started choosing lives without me. Claire rearranged the furniture in her office. Started seeing clients at home. Bought a new car without involving me. Went to Chicago for the weekend with a friend. I learned about the trip 3 days before she left. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I'm not asking permission. I never demanded permission. No. You just became used to me always being available. She was right. That Saturday, the house was empty. Our daughter was staying with a friend. Claire was in Chicago. I sat alone in the kitchen. And suddenly I understood what I had done. I had been looking for the feeling of a new life beside Megan, while slowly destroying the life at home that I had not even bothered to notice. When Claire returned, I asked her to sit down. I want to save our marriage. She did not even look surprised. Why? The question seemed absurd. Because I love you. You love her too. Yes. I had decided to stop lying. Claire nodded. Good. Good. Good that you're at least not lying now. I moved closer. I'll end everything with her. That's your decision. Isn't that what you want? I want to understand what I want. She looked directly at me. For some reason, you think that if you choose me, everything automatically goes back to normal. It won't. I said nothing. You didn't simply fall in love with another woman. For months, you came home and kept me beside you like a backup option. One promise does not fix that. What am I supposed to do? That's what you need to figure out. Claire did not throw me out. But she did not forgive me either. We started seeing a marriage counselor. During our first session, I was asked, "What did you find in Megan?" I answered. She saw something new in me. Claire laughed. Not cruelly. More tired than anything. I watched everything new in him for 19 years. He just stopped noticing that I was looking. I wanted to disappear. Later at home, I asked, "Why didn't you fight?" With who? Her. Claire thought for a moment. Because I'm not going to audition for the position of my own wife. She picked up a glass of water. If you wanted another life, I wasn't going to humiliate myself by proving this one was better. A few days later, Megan asked to talk. We met at a cafe. She looked calmer. I'm transferring to another office, she said. Because of me? Partly. Don't. That's exactly why I have to. I lowered my eyes. I chose Claire. Megan was silent for a long moment. No. You chose to try to save your family. That's not the same thing. I love her. I know. And you. She smiled sadly. I know. Are you angry? Sometimes. But mostly with myself. I knew you were married too. What was I supposed to do? She shrugged. Probably not ask the woman you're leaving for the answer. I laughed. So did she. For a few seconds, we were once again the two people talking at the company party. Then she stood up. Goodbye, Thomas. I did not hug her. I did not kiss her. I did not ask her to write. I simply watched her leave. That evening, I cried in my car. Not because I wanted to leave Claire and run after Megan. But because I finally admitted that loving one woman does not erase the pain of losing another. And I was responsible for creating that situation. Several months have passed. Claire and I are still together. I deliberately say, still. Not happy again. Not everything is fixed. Some things heal slowly. Others never return at all. Megan transferred. Sometimes her name appears in group emails. During the first few weeks, I felt something tighten inside me every time I saw it. Then it became easier. I did not stop remembering her. I simply stopped building another life around those memories. Claire changed more. Or maybe I finally started seeing the woman she had always been. She no longer waits for my schedule. She does not cancel plans if I suddenly happen to be free. She travels to photograph gardens. Meets friends. Recently, she won a major project redesigning the grounds around an old library. Before, I probably would have said, "Great." Then gone back to my phone. This time, I went to see the site. Claire noticed. "Don't overdo it," she said. "What do you mean?" "Don't suddenly turn into the perfect husband. That's another form of panic. I don't need worship. I need partnership." I nodded. She was right. For a long time, I believed cheating began with a kiss. Now I think differently. It begins much earlier. It begins when you start hiding from the person beside you a part of your life that has already become important. I never slept with Megan. I never kissed her. But if I claimed that meant I had never cheated, it would be a coward's word game. I gave her the attention I had stopped bringing home. I told her dreams Claire did not even know I still had. I waited for her messages. Changed the way I dressed. Bought new cologne. And all that time, I wondered why my wife was becoming colder. One evening, Claire and I were sitting on the terrace. She asked, "Do you miss her?" I could have lied. Sometimes. Claire nodded. "Thank you. Doesn't it hurt to hear that?" "It does. But a lie would hurt more." I looked at her. "Did you ever think about leaving?" She was silent for a long time. "Yes." "For someone else?" "No. Just leaving." Those words were more frightening than jealousy. I realized how close I had come to ending up without either woman. I really did lose Megan. I almost lost Claire. And only then did I understand that all along, I had thought I was a man standing in front of two options. In reality, neither woman was an option. They were people. With their own pride. Their own limits. Their own right to stop waiting while I made up my mind. Claire did not save our marriage. And neither did I. We simply decided to try to build a different one. In this marriage, she is no longer the convenient wife who is always home. And I am no longer the man who believes he can do whatever he wants as long as he never technically crosses the final line. Sometimes I still wish I could go back to that company party. Simply walk past the bar. Never start that conversation. But maybe the problem was never that evening. If it had not been Megan, another crack would have appeared eventually. Because I had taken my own life for granted for far too long. And maybe the main lesson turned out to be painfully simple. Sometimes a man only starts being afraid of losing his wife when she stops being afraid of losing him. Thomas never crossed the line into a physical affair, but for Claire, the betrayal began much earlier, with secrets, emotional intimacy, and a life her husband gradually stopped sharing with her. She did not compete with another woman. She did not check his phone. She did not make a scene. She simply stopped being convenient and reclaimed her own life. And that was when Thomas realized he was in danger of losing not one woman, but both of them. Do you think emotional cheating can be just as destructive as physical cheating? And was Claire right to give their marriage another chance?